had to figure out what was behind the question. When somebody asked me how long I'd been in the business, what did they really want to know? They were asking me the wrong question. They didn't dare ask me what they wanted to ask me. So they were going to ask how long you've been in the business, and then make all these assumptions based on how long you've been in the business.
Are you qualified to do the job, basically?
Right. So when I could look back at you, Ben, pretend you're the guy with gray hair, and you said, so Bill, how long have you been in the business? I said, well, Ben, do you want to know how long I've been in the business, or do you want to know how good I am? And when I could say that to him, and I had the courage to say that to him, there was a grin that would hit their face, and we would almost be in business immediately.
Right. Welcome to Rochester Business Connections, powered by Balbert Marketing, LLC, where I get the chance to chat with Rochester, New York's very best business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. I am your host, Ben Albert. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, we don't do advertisements. My fee for this show is simple. If you gain value from the episode, personally share with a friend and explain your favorite part. Let's get started. Welcome everyone to Rochester Business Connections on the Real Business Connections Network. I am here with Bill Knoche. Bill, what's up? How are you?
I'm great. I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too. I love sales. I believe that sales are important. Whether or not you're a business owner, you're selling yourself in leadership. You're selling yourself every day. And if you're revenue driven, you definitely need to know sales. That's why I love talking to you. We were just shooting the breeze before we started. You're the owner and sales architect at Let's Talk Selling. Let's dive into it. Let's start with why sales. Why are you passionate about sales, Bill?
Oh, I grew up in sales. My dad started pumping gas at a place called Reefler Buick when he was 17 years old. And when I was about 9 years old, he'd worked there long enough and gone up through the ranks, and he actually bought the dealership from starting out pumping gas. And he was a guy with great integrity. And I kind of learned that from him. And it's just the business of selling. I love people and the business of selling. And a lot of people who could make great salespeople don't even attempt sales because they think you've got to be manipulative. They think you have to be able to bullshit people. Right. And that's just not the way it is. That's a very successful model. People do it all day long, every day in tons of businesses. But It wasn't something I enjoyed. I was not good at spinning up the truth to sell a car. If I couldn't tell you the truth, I didn't tell you a lie. That was the model that I was raised with. And I watched the guys in the dealership, the guys who did spin the truth, made a lot more money than the guys that told the truth, which is the reason that so many salespeople manufacture their own personal truths. I just don't go along with that. That's all.
And it seems like these days, does sales kind of get a bad rep? A lot of people don't like sales because they've been burned or their parents have been burned. And it's because of that lying manipulation, which works, right? It does work.
Yes, it does.
I know personally I can't sleep at night if I'm unethical. What was your experience kind of being surrounded by people like that?
Well, my experience was that I tried it because I watched the guys who made all the money in the business when I was younger. I watched them doing it. It's nothing that I could do. I just didn't enjoy it. And so I learned how to tell the truth and not fear the truth. Salespeople who are stretching the truth in most situations see the money going out the window, and they need the money. So they need the money so bad they're willing to stretch the truth. Right. They don't know the high cost of stretching the truth. I'll take on a company that the home automobile business and the home improvement business it's noted for, and the life insurance business. Three businesses that all have poor reputations for salespeople that don't tell the truth. So I learned to tell the truth when I was in the automobile business. I probably learned it more when we sold a dealership. I went into selling life insurance, which is another one that has a bad reputation. But I could sit down with somebody, and they would open up to me. They would I would know more about when I sat down, even when I was young in the business, only gray at the temples. People would open up to me, and I think part of it was I was safe to tell the truth to. Salespeople have to be aware of why they're being asked questions. Again, something I learned when I was in the insurance business. Now, they weren't talking to a guy with this much gray hair. They were talking to a guy with about as much gray hair as you've got, a little bit at the temples. And so a business owner would look at me and say, so Bill, how long have you been in the business? Well, I knew that the kiss of death was to tell them I'd been in the business for 2 or 3 years, because they don't want to deal with somebody that's been in this 2 or 3 years. So I thought about it enough that I had to figure out what was behind the question. When somebody asked me how long I'd been in the business, what did they really want to know? They were asking me the wrong question. They didn't dare ask me what they wanted to ask me. So they were going to ask how long you've been in the business, and then make all these assumptions based on how long you've been in the business.
Are you qualified to do the job, basically?
Right. So when I could look back at you, Ben, pretend you're the guy with gray hair, and you said, so Bill, how long have you been in the business? I said, well, Ben, do you want to know how long I've been in the business, or do you want to know how good I am? And when I could say that to him, and I had the courage to say that to him, there was a grin that would hit their face, and we would almost be in business immediately. Right. Just at being able to rephrase, because that's what they really wanted to ask. But their mothers told them, don't ask any tough questions. Don't. So when you can learn to answer questions like that, and I can guarantee you, that was part of my getting in to meet the people. And then maybe when I went in the office and I sat with them, and I would look at them and say, listen, in interest of time, I really love what I do. In interest of time, could I just skip asking you about the pictures on your credenza or your golf clubs in the corner? Could we just get down to it? Yeah. And again, that grin that just hit your face, that's what happened to them too. When I actually saw a picture on the wall that I actually had interest in, one of them had a stock car, a picture of a stock car in his office, and on the side of it, it had Sorrento cheese on it. And I looked at the guy and I said, Ben, this is not a bonding and report question. How do you happen to have that picture of that car? I said, I know the family well. And I did. I went to school with the people that own Sorrento cheese. And again, anytime I thought of asking a question that could be interpreted as a bonding and rapport question, I made sure that I told them it wasn't a bonding and rapport question. So that really made it separated me from everybody else. One of the guys looked around, he said, oh, and he had a picture of his family and his ex-wife on the credenza. And he said, I really don't want to talk about her. We got divorced a while ago and I have no space for her. So he automatically said that to me, that was valuable information for me to have. So it's amazing if you actually have the courage to speak the truth to the truth. It's amazing what starts to happen.
Speaking the truth to the truth, and you're calling it out. It's authenticity is what I'm hearing. And talk about being a sales architect. I kind of want to define sales architect and where authenticity and less talk selling and these things that you teach kind of fall into that term of a sales architect.
Well, I picked sales architect. I've also got corporate plumber and CEO. Okay. And that was, I look for the leaks in your sales and marketing system. And I really don't even say marketing. I say, I look for the leaks in your sales system because there's tons of money that silently slide down the drain because and you're unaware of it. It isn't just somebody telling you no. It's somebody that you couldn't even get a conversation started with because you were nervous, you were jerky. You didn't go in and try to meet a human being. You were trying to get in to the person that had the checkbook to write a check to you.
Right.
And when you're in there meeting people and you're a people, magic starts to happen when you can actually connect. So nobody ever taught anybody to say, don't talk about the golf clubs. Don't talk about the pictures on the credenza. So they go into bullshit. So I just learned to say the opposite of what every other salesman who'd been in their office had ever been taught to say. Most business owners have been in sales training class. They've gone to sales training themselves. So when you start being 100% different than anybody they ever met before, it's a salesperson, they start to look at you like the RCA Victor dog looking down the horn on the old-fashioned Victrola with their head sideways. That's what you want to have. You want to have people looking at you and think, wow, this guy isn't a standard salesperson at all. Yeah. This girl isn't a standard salesperson at all. That alone creates tremendous credibility.
You're standing out. You're being authentic. You're being credible. But it also sounds like there's an element of assertion that's involved as well. So when I go to a doctor, usually the doctor doesn't have to sell me on whether or not I should drop my pants. If I have a concern, I'm going to drop my pants. I'm going to let them inspect because they are the authority figure. And at the same time, if I were to go to a psychologist and they were to sit down and start getting preachy on all the things I'm doing wrong in my life and not asking a single question, I would immediately realize that they're not a good fit. So I almost feel like your style has a balance of being assertive, being direct, but also being authentic and being intuitive and asking questions. So that's my perception. What are your thoughts? Because I love the name Less Talk Selling, and I personally think the best therapist doesn't have to hardly open their mouth at all. So what are your thoughts on those things I just said there, Bill?
Well, we're exactly on the same page. If the doctor said to you down to room 8 and he didn't say it with authority down to your skivvies, you could have fear of doing that. Right. He's got to say it with authority. And a salesperson does have to, he or she does have to assume some authority. I don't know about him, but I do know about people. And I really never thought about that. But you have to have, that's the confidence you have to have in yourself. And when you don't have confidence in yourself, you need to be able to say somebody, I've never had anybody ask me that question before. I'd love to make up a good answer, and I'm not going to.
Right.
I've got a couple of guys back in the office, or I have a handful of people back in the office that I'm going to ask that question to and get back to you. And that you got to understand that is so much different than the standard line is. They don't say it that powerfully. They say, "Oh, I don't have the answer, but I'll get it for you." Well, again, everybody's heard that before. So when you say, "I don't have that answer," and I've got 2 or 3 guys back in the office that have it, that's said with so much more authority than kind of sweeping it under the carpet. And that's the other piece that I know that most human beings try to tell the truth. Now, that's not true in the world of selling. It's not the truth in the world of jewelry. We certainly know it wasn't the truth in stocks. In a lot of businesses, bullshitting people gets to be the standard. But I know that most of us don't like to lie to people. And the good people, there's a lot of good people, as I said when we were talking earlier, won't look at selling because they think you have to be a manipulative guy willing to sell your soul to be a salesperson. And that's not true at all. You need to learn how to speak the truth, how to ask. And I ask a lot of tough questions. I mean, it's not about conning. It's not about conning somebody into something. No. I also really enjoyed working with home improvement contractors, and a lot of the people that are going out to sell that kitchen, the people want to buy a kitchen. So his job is to go out there and sell it to them. A lot of them are afraid to talk about money
Sure.
because they really have had no skill in talking about money. And the owner of the company has never told them that. They don't know how to. A lot of sales managers don't understand that. A lot of business owners don't understand that people who are afraid to talk about money are never going to close as much as the people who are unafraid of it. So one of the first things you have to do is you have to get people comfortable, your sales team, talking about money if you've got a product that's a high ticket item. So when I teach people if they're going to go in and do a kitchen remodel, I want them to be able to if it's a nice kitchen that they're already going to remodel, I want them to compliment the kitchen, because it's not to sell them the kitchen. It's because it is a good looking kitchen. I want you to speak the truth. This is a good looking kitchen. Tell me why we're talking. Tell me why we're talking about remodeling it. Now, if I get the customer telling me about why he wants to do it, again, I'm just finding out why he's buying it. And then he tells me about it and say, well, how much longer will you be in this house? And the standard answer is, I really don't know how long I'm going to be in this house. So my reply to that is, I know nobody really knows how long they're going to be in the house, but let me ask you this, Ben, do you think they'll carry you out of here, or will you walk out and be someplace else before they have to carry you out?
Sure.
Nobody has ever heard that expression used. So that same grin that just hit your face hits their face. And again, they're looking cockeyed at you like, wow, who's this guy? I've never had it like this. That speaks that frankly. And then I'm going to say, well, because if you know you're going to sell the house if you're going to move out of here in the next 10 or 12 years, it's a different kitchen than if you tell me you're going to be here for 25 more years.
Right.
And so let me ask you a question. What kind of a budget do you have to do this kitchen? Or what are you thinking about? And invariably, the husband will look at the wife and they'll both, well, that's the reason we're talking to you, because we really don't know. And I'm going to look back at him and say, I know that you don't know exactly, but the odds are high that before I came today, that both of you had agreed on an amount of money you weren't going to spend more than. So give me some help with that number, because this could be a $45,000 kitchen, or it could be a $32,000 kitchen. And I don't want to come back with the wrong kitchen after we've spent 2 hours talking about this. So I'm gently flushing it out, because I don't want to give you sticker shock when I come back in. And there's so many salespeople that don't know that. They don't know how to have a conversation about money.
Right.
So I'm just asking the question, and I know what they're going to tell me. And so I'm prepared for what they're going to tell me. And again, they smile at each other and they say, well, we didn't want to spend more than $28,000. And of course, I know when they fumble with the $28,000, they probably got a few more $1,000s than that, but they want to give me the low side. And as I said earlier, this could be a $45,000 kitchen, whatever. So you got $35,000. Just looking at things, I see you've got all the lower cupboards or they're just cupboards at the bottom. If it was going to cost a little bit more money to put drawers in, but you could probably have twice as much space if we put drawers in, and if we just replace it with just cupboards. Should I talk about that with you, or should I just let it slide and just strictly work with a budget? It's a conversation. It is not a sales pitch. But I want to introduce them to the possibility of doing something else, and I want to get their feedback on it. So I'm helping them buy the kitchen they want to buy. I'm not there to work with I will work within a range in their budget, but I don't want them to be unhappy with the kitchen when they have somebody else, they go into somebody else's kitchen that's been remodeled and they've all got drawers in it. And they look at each other and say, why the hell didn't we think about drawers? So my job is to make it an easy conversation. And it is not about the amount of money I'm going to make on it. It's about how am I going to serve this customer? Because I know if I serve the customer and he gets an extraordinary kitchen out of our conversation, I'm going to get referrals like mad. I don't have to send them a dinner certificate to get a referral. They're just going to come naturally. And now I'm going to also have a plastic packet of business cards that I put inside the first drawer on the right side of the kitchen sink. So it's in the same place in every customer's home that I work with. It's on the inside of the front drawer. So it's not going to be an aggravation to them, but they're going to know where my business card is. And then I'm going to say to them, I know you don't need a certificate to Salvatore's for dinner, but I'm going to tell you that I'm going to be happy to send you one. But I'll also, what's your favorite charity? And they say St. Jude's. I say, okay, so you can pick between a certificate to the restaurant, or I'd be happy to send a ticket or a check to St. Jude's in your name. And most of the people are going to pick the charity. They are not going to take and you're separating yourself from everybody else. One of my clients he does solar power, and he started to give them a certificate to support the polar bears.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, it's perfect.
It is, and that same again, that smile that hits your face, that hits your customer's face.
Right.
You're in the people business. You're not in the selling business. Your job should be making it easy for people to buy, and that's a completely different structure. I'll go in. I was working with one home improvement contractor, and when it came to putting egress windows on a home, and egress windows are windows that if you're going to put a bedroom downstairs in a home in the basement, the law says you have to put special windows so that people, if there's a fire, they can make it out of the basement.
Right.
The logic behind that is most cellar doors open up into the kitchen, and most kitchens are where fires catch. So you don't want them coming through a fire to get out.
No.
But what we're doing, this one particular home improvement company, the guys would, rather than selling the window, they would tell people, well, we'll just tell them we're building a storage area down here. When it all gets approved and stuff, then you can put the beds and so on and so forth in, and so on and so forth. And I said, guys, how would you like to do that? Sell it one like that, and then have somebody's grandchild die because there was a fire in the basement.
Don't want that.
Well, it actually was a problem in the whole company, because every salesperson in a company was doing it that way. And when you make them aware of, there's a reason for that law, and if you get excited about why that law is there, then you can go in and you can tell that can be your sales tool. Look, I hate to tell you, but we got to spend $2,500 or $3,000 on an egress window. You don't want to spend, and the reason the law says you have to do that is because too many people are dying in a basement. Too many grandchildren are dying in a basement because of fire. And you're just on their side on taking care of their grandchild. And the sales, just all of a sudden, that's the way it was being done. But I had to see that it wasn't a sales problem. It was actually a problem within the company. It was a way that they were all doing it the same way, and they just didn't. That was a path of least resistance. They were taking the easy way out rather than taking the powerful way out, which is about why you want to have this. So you might lose one to somebody else that will put the window in wrong, but you're never going to have somebody lose a grandchild because you gave them bad advice.
I love that.
Well, it's really important to be able to have,
important.
in my opinion, those are, when you're used to lying about it, when you start stretching the truth, it's not easy to tell the truth without having a real good reason to tell the truth. Another thing, and I know I talk a lot about home improvement because I actually love working with home improvement contractors. I love working with people with calluses on their hands.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I really like. I tell people every now and then I'll wear a suit to a meeting, and I'll say, guys, I'm wearing this suit and a tie to this meeting just so you know I've got one. Unless you're a banker, you're probably never going to see me show up with a necktie on.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up in my jeans and a button-down shirt. And sometimes the button-down shirt might be even unbuttoned on one side. And maybe I unbuttoned it on purpose because I need to show up just a little bit less than the owner. I always want him to feel, not feel, I want him to be in control. I don't wear a suit because I don't want to intimidate him. I don't want them to think that now we're getting in a, I'll just call a spade a spade. I don't want to get in a pissing contest because of egos, even if it's stuff that we don't even know we're aware of going on in our heads. So that's the stuff I look for when the corporate plumber or a sales architect. You actually have to think about what you're going to be doing. Most salespeople have been trained by the manufacturer. So the manufacturer knows why they should have this kind of a window, why they should have a 3-pane window. They know all kinds of benefits, but they don't know people. And salespeople don't know anywhere near enough about people. As I've said before, they're product informed. They aren't not people informed.
Well, let's talk about that, Bill, because everyone's in a different industry, and it's nice to have the right questions and the right one-liners, but that takes a lot of work, practice, repetition, knowing your people, knowing your industry. What should someone do if they feel kind of overwhelmed and they don't even know where to start? So they understand they're either in sales and they're not getting the revenue and they're not hitting their numbers and they're not accomplishing what they expect, or they're a business owner and ultimately they're in sales whether they like it or not. They need to drive revenue, they need to scale the business, they need to create relationships, or there could be just someone at home that wants to better captivate their family, better captivate their wife, their husband, rally the troops, rally the team that they're the coach of, their child's team. We're all in this persuasion game in different places in our life, but a lot of people don't realize it, or they realize it and they're struggling. So you can't just give them 5 questions to ask. Maybe you can. You tell me, what should the beginner start today? Like, what can someone do to immediately start getting a little bit of motivation and benefit and start honing their craft, which is going to be different? The home improvement guy is going to have a different conversation than the coach of his son's basketball team. So are there any fundamentals we should touch on?
Yes. Number one, start to listen. The women that I work with, almost every one of them tells me how much better their marriage gets. And the men tell me how much better they get along with their children. And that comes out of listening and learning how to ask questions. It's not about telling people everything. So a new salesperson, it's going to be difficult because the new salesperson has been taught the features and benefits that they're supposed to be selling. So I would ask that new salesperson, why would anybody want this feature or this benefit? So you have to learn all the things that you've got they've given you to tell them about. Figure out a question to ask somebody so that their ears will get, so you can ignite their listening. Because it's difficult for people not to listen when you're asking them questions. If you're not asking them questions, you can go on with your whole sales, all the stuff you've got, and they never had to be listening to you at all. They can be off on La La Land, listening to that, thinking about other things, thinking about a fight they had with their wife. This is one of the reasons that I want salespeople to be able to, when they go out on a sales call, they have to be focused on that customer. They cannot be thinking about the wife, the fight they had with their wife in the morning.
Right.
If nothing else, they need to call the wife before they have this sales call and apologize to her for whatever the fight they started to have. I mean, I could spend 2 hours with you on how you have a better marriage by when you start to hurl. Most adults don't fight from an adult standpoint. They drop down to the point they're about 12 years old. And it's like two little kids fighting. And when you realize you've said something, and when you were saying it, you were developing it to hurt your wife. When you realize those words come out of your mouth, you got to take them back immediately. Say, I'm sorry. That was the little boy in me just talking. I apologize. I do love you. And I'm caught in this middle of this argument that I don't want to be having with you. But we don't have the courage to actually step into that conversation.
Right. So courage.
Yeah.
Listening. Are most people think they're good listeners? Are they wrong?
Well, yes. Anybody that tells me they're a good listener, anybody, a guy tells me he's a good listener, I've learned not to argue about that. I just look at them and say, fine, we won't focus on, when work with your group, we won't focus on listening. I just need everybody in the room to be able to get a note from their wife, bring it into me, telling me you're a good listener. And nobody can bring that in. That they all do the same thing. And I've demonstrated they don't listen. And rather than getting a pissing contest with them, they get the smile on their face, just like you did.
Right.
And I can do the same thing with a woman who tells me she's a good listener. I said, okay, I guess I would like a note from your spouse and your children co-signing it, saying you're a good listener. And my job is to help them see something, not to tell them something. And
right.
That's really what I've done with everything, with this kitchen, with everything. It's about helping the customer see what you're talking about, feel what you're talking about. The customer wants it. It's November in the kitchen, and you're in with a customer who wants to have the house remodeled by Christmas. Mm-hmm. Well, you got to be able to look at the person and say, look, I could lie to you or I could tell you the truth, and you're not going to like the truth. If you wanted this done by Christmas, we need to start this in October.
Right.
And so, and I know I could tell you it'd be done by Christmas, but at Christmas time, the place would still be filled with plaster stuff. And I don't want to have you mad at me. In the old days, when I was afraid of selling, I might make a promise I couldn't keep. I don't make promises I can't keep. Well, again, when you tell them of your past and who you are now, there's a new relationship that they get plugged into about you, and the courage you have to tell them the truth, because they've got 5 other contractors that they could call who would mislead them on when the job could be done. I was coaching a guy up in Canada on that, and he said, well, we just got through doing that. We just got through telling somebody that we'd get a job done. We knew we couldn't get it done. And yet he still didn't want to buy any training. He didn't want any help with it. It was just his model of doing things. But he said, my God, we just did that. And it's human nature. If we're starving to death, we will do things that maybe aren't in our normal nature.
Do you really think, I know you don't, but do you really think we need to do these kind of things even if we're starving to death? There's a better way. Well,
there is, but nobody's taught it to them.
Right.
My model of selling is
human nature.
Yes. When you're hungry, you'll do stuff against people.
I will steal cucumbers from a farm to feed my family if they can't eat.
Right. And if you're on drugs, it's even worse. How can I tell you? Right. I mean, it's just a proven fact. So if you just work with what the facts are, so most of us are too lazy to learn how to avoid telling a lie. If everybody else in my industry tells that lie, then that justifies me telling a lie. If it's just the way our industry is, well, Our industry doesn't have to be that way. Yeah, I grew up, as I say, I grew up in the automobile business. I used to say the only way you'll ever get automobile people telling the truth is there'd have to be a famine, and it would have to kill all the existing automobile dealers so they can start over again with integrity. Because you're up against somebody who will stretch the truth quite often. Now, anybody that's listening to this, it's a current salesman. I don't think it's as bad as it once was, sure. But there's still a lot of misleading people into buying something inside the industry. Just like there's a lot of people who still mislead home improvement contractor. There's when it gets to be a tradition in an industry, it's difficult to break an industry norm. I know that I can help a home improvement contractor get a 40% increase inside of 12 months with the same sales force he's got now. But the salespeople are all selling differently. They're out there to make sure the customer is taken care of. It's not about taking advantage of a customer. It's about being an advantage to the customer.
Actually being an advantage to them.
Right.
Tell you the shortest story ever. I just did a testimonial campaign for my company. Been in business a little bit over a year. Felt like it was officially time where the testimonials wouldn't just be canned and fake. I wanted them to be real, raw, genuine, even with the negative feedback that sometimes comes with that. And a short blimp of the testimonial, a beautiful lady, incredible business. What she said was, when I first started working with Ben, before we ever started working together, it seemed like he wanted to know that I was actually legit. He was listening in regards to my products and services, and a lot of people would just sign up any client that's ready to buy, but it actually genuinely felt that he cared about what I did, and he didn't want to work with someone who wasn't legit and wasn't, a good service to humanity, their customers, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this just made me perk up. It's interesting hearing people talk about you behind your back. It's great when it's a positive thing, right? But what made me perk up there was that's what I believe in, Bill. Like, I want to go in and make sure that I'm aligned with the customer's needs, their values. I want to make sure I'm not a product pusher, rather a problem solver, and provide solutions. That the problem might not be more money. It might be I need more time with my children. It might be I need to clean up my processes. And back in the day, I was very assumptive, and I would go in and I have the solution to all your problems. This is what person A, B, and C bought. I recommend this because I know that. And I found that when I actually started qualifying my clients and getting to know what they needed and what they want, and seeing if I actually could service them properly, then I would build a good client. In theory, you could sell at a higher ticket, and you're building relationships and a referral system that'll walk with you for life. And the reason I tell that story is we first connected based on collaboration. I talked about collaboration at Grow Buffalo. You said you're all about collaboration. And I love that because I see my sales conversations as a discussion and a collaboration. Tell me a little bit more about your philosophy on that discussion and that collaboration aspect, where it's not just I'm an authority, you have a need, here is my assessment, buy it. Tell me a little bit more about your collaborative process there.
Well, it's based on questions. It's finding out. It's really exactly what you do. I want to find out if I can really help this customer. If he's got a sale, I love just the home improvement contractor model, but I don't want to help. I don't want to help somebody become a stronger sales organization if they don't have integrity. If they're an operation that's a find them, fool them, the heck with them person, that's not want to work. I don't want to do that.
No,
it's not fun, and I know that my skills, I know what I teach people. If they are deceptive, they could use everything I am suggesting in a deceptive fashion. You can bullshit people. You can ask all the questions I've asked, but you have no intention of actually doing more than a surface job when I go in to do it. I don't want to work with those people. Now, it's probably cost me a lot of money over the years not to work with them, but if I suspect, I don't want to work with a home improvement contractor that is known, has a bad reputation.
Right.
It's no fun.
No.
I'm just helping them to learn new ways to go screw the public.
It's like it's like that key. You can take it and you can use it for manipulation, or you can use it for good. And if it seems like someone's going to use it for manipulation, maybe they learn it on their own and use it, but I don't want any part of that. I don't want to give them that gift of knowledge.
Well, maybe that's the reason I'm going to use the term, we fall in love with each other the first time I saw you. You do have a different way about you. And it's something I need help with, certainly because I've always done, my business has always been face-to-face. I meet people at networking events, I get referrals, so on and so forth. And I know it's a fact that if you can sell one to an individual, if you really know how to learn to use the web and social media, you can sell 1,000. If you can sell one, you can sell 1,000. And I have yet to master that. I know people when I sit with them or I watch them, but I haven't learned the other stuff that for me is very important to grow my business. If I want to really leave a legacy, I expected by this time in my life that when I came into the business, I wanted to change the way selling was done. Mm-hmm. I wanted everybody to have an integrity model of selling. And of course,
good luck completely changing an industry like that.
Right. But improving upon it,
yes,
isn't enough either. You really do need to have a model that is so good that you could change the face of the industry.
Yeah.
And certainly you have a model that changes how marketing is done. And it's our job. John Convery used to say, catch on fire because they'll come from miles around to watch you burn.
Okay.
And you really do have to ignite yourself and get so excited. You get such a flame going that people do come from miles around to watch you burn. And a certain number of those people are just going to be intrigued with you enough when they hear you that they're going to come and talk to you. They're going to want to meet you. They're going to want to talk to you.
That's marketing, Bill. Let me ask you, would you rather be world-class at marketing or world-class at closing, specifically closing a deal?
I want a lot of people to decide to do business with me. I'm not interested in closing them.
Well, and I'm giving that pointed question on. So if you could choose marketing or sales, close out of the two.
Well, the closing, I want you to. I'm going to say.
You want me to reframe how I asked the question.
True, but it's difficult because a presentation well done, the natural conclusion is that people do business with you. Right.
Exactly.
Too many salespeople have been taught to close, and what they do is they're trying to close before they've ever got a deal open.
And Bill, that's why I was asking this leading question, because building a relationship, proving trust, proving certainty, proving value and reliability, to me is part of marketing yourself as a salesperson, as not just a salesperson, but as a person. You can be the best closer in the world, but the fire analogy, right? If you're the best closer in the world, but you have no one to sell to, how much business are you going to do? I'd rather be the person that's on fire that people are coming to see, where I've got some sales skills, but I don't really need to use manipulation or closing tactics because people want to be a part of this experience.
Right. I want when a salesman leaves and they didn't get an order signed, I want the people that didn't sign the order to say to themselves, I hope that we can do business with that guy.
Right.
I really like him. I trust him. I hope we can do it. And they're looking at their budget, and their budget may not be able to afford it. So they at least got to come back and say, look at, or we'll, if you're a landscaper, let's do half the landscaping this year. We'll do the other half next year. We want you to be the guy that does our landscaping for us.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just have to do it and split it up.
Which is great. You obviously believe this. Right now is not the only time to buy someone's service, right? There is a right time and a wrong time. And a lot of people say the best time to start was 5 years ago, next best time's now. That's sometimes not true. Sometimes there just isn't alignment. They can't afford the service. They don't have the ability to utilize the service. It's not a good fit. Do you agree that it's not right now is not always the best time?
Yes, I do. And I have to really be sure that it is not the right time, because a lot of people that's just the excuse they throw up. It's not the right time.
Limiting belief or an excuse.
Oh my God. In my business, in what I do, it's well over half of my work with somebody is help them understand their value. They have no idea all their self-limiting beliefs that they're screwed up. They can't talk about money because they never talked about it.
Right.
There's no reason not to be able to talk about money. Oh, I just can't talk about it. Well, let's find out what the hell, why can't you talk about it? And chase that backwards and kill that belief off. Now I can go and have a free talk with somebody about money. Oh my God, most people's problems are strictly in their head. They're what they imagine. And all the people who don't sell, that could be selling, it's only what they believe that has prevented them from getting into a business that they could make a ton of money in and serve a ton of people. I don't mean to get excited, but
dude, it's belief. It starts with us. Fear of need to be liked and fear to talk about money. It only holds you back, right?
Yeah. And I need to be loved. On top of that, I don't want you just to like me. I want you to love me.
Yeah.
So that's even a worse one.
I feel like Michael Scott said that in The Office. I've heard something like that before. He's like, I don't need to be liked. I want to be, or I don't know. It's like, I don't need to be liked. I need to be loved. That kind of concept. Like, yeah, one thing. So a mentor of mine, Steve Faroux, what he taught me is the best business people, they don't necessarily need to be liked, but guess what happens because they're confident, they ask the right questions, they're good salespeople, they serve people in the right way. Whether or not they need to be liked, what do you think happens? People like them. People love them. People will like you if you can help them. And if you need to be liked,
Yeah, the need to be liked can really screw you up. Or the need to be loved. You have to really put that out. Take that out of the picture. When you find yourself, I need this person to love me. Then you have no ability to maintain a margin. You getting a pat on the back or a pat on the ass is more important than having any margin. It's really easy to go to business if you're not getting the margin you need to have to stay in business.
Yeah, you need a margin to be in business. It's a very simple, valid point. I love helping people, but also need to put food on the table for my family. I need to make an income, need to make a margin.
Well, and helping people buy cheap doesn't always serve the customer either. I mean, right. It's not good. It's not good for the customer because they're buying based on what they hope you can do for them versus they're buying on what they know they can do with what you've got. A lot of people don't buy because they don't have confidence in themselves.
Right.
And if you can help them past that, know that you are the person they want to work with, regardless. Again, the conversation, it's a natural conclusion to a conversation.
A sale's a natural conclusion to a conversation.
To an authentic conversation.
To an authentic benefit, which provides benefit in their lives.
Yes. And this thing about being authentic, if you're authentic, the people will become authentic with you. They don't need to protect themselves if they know that they can trust you. They will tell you the truth. Since I've been, again, might go back years, I would walk out of an appointment and I would know more about the person I was talking with than their wives knew.
Right.
Because people, when they fall in love with you, they'll share everything. Too much sometimes.
Bill, I have one more question, and it's spicy and opens Pandora's box, so we're going to end at it. We're going to go a little over time. I'm okay with that, but I wanted to squeeze in the rapid fire round. What the rapid fire round is just short, sweet, easy to answer questions. Fill in the blank, either or. Take it however you want. It's completely objective, subjective to you and what you believe. And it's just to have a little bit of fun and get to know Bill a little bit better. So we'll get started with coffee or tea.
Coffee.
Beer or wine?
Southern Comfort, Manhattan.
I love it. You can fill in the blank on any of these. Southern Comfort, Manhattan. Cats
on
or
the
dogs?
Rocks, dry with a twist.
On the rocks, dry with a twist. Tasty. Are you a cat or a dog person or another animal?
I was always a dog person till I dated somebody who had 5 cats, and all of a sudden I had a whole new love for cats.
Love it. Love it. We'll do one more. Let's do favorite book. You can give me a couple, but if I want to learn more about this stuff, what do you recommend?
The 4 Agreements, which is really about starting to trust yourself and understand all the stuff that you've been conditioned. You weren't brought up, you've been conditioned up. The Science and Art of Creative Collaboration.
I haven't heard of that one. Science and Art of Creative Collaboration.
Yep.
Right up my alley, Bill. Right up my alley.
It's
okay. Mastering the Art of Creative Collaboration.
Oh, that spun me around. That's the reason I knew that I was not. I did not want to be known as a sales trainer.
Right. I've got one more spicy question before we go on a tangent with it. How do people reach out and get in touch with you and continue the conversation? LinkedIn, Facebook, website, email, phone. What do you recommend we start with?
I have enough gray hair that a phone call would be great. If you're on my voicemail, just leave a message. You can also find me at lesstalkselling.com. You can find me at wesolvesalesproblems.com. And I own about 60 domain names. I wake up during the middle of the night and call and buy them because I think they're so great. And you'll soon be able to see me in whatacrockacrap.com, where I want to start exposing or talking about less than integrous sales models.
Bill, we're like long lost pals. I know that experience where you wake up in the middle of the night and you're searching GoDaddy for a domain name. I'll tell you, it's amazing. My favorite domain name that I haven't used yet is literally marketingforsalespeople.com. That was available. I don't know why salespeople don't think they need marketing, so I got marketingforsalespeople.com. Another one I love is differentiator marketing, and that's what you do. You differentiate yourself from the typical pack, and by differentiating yourself, that's your special sauce that allows people to make the decision to buy with you. And I'm on tangents. I want to ask you one more question, Bill, because I know we're running low on time. We've got to run. So I do a lot of social selling. I'm not a big phone guy. It's kind of old school. A lot of people would say it's an old school channel, or maybe some people would say it's a crowded channel. People get a lot of spam. But do you disagree? Is cold calling dead? Is the phone dead? What are your thoughts on using the phone for sales and business development in the 2020s?
I think it's coming back. Yes, if you know how to use a phone, it's a social skill. And all you've been taught about how to make cold calls, it's all ass backwards. It's not the way to do it. You make a cold call the same way you make a call to a friend that you already know that owns the company. You don't explain yourself to the switchboard operator. You need to know the name of the owner of the company so that you can actually have this relationship. And it's the feeling you have when you're making the call. I don't make cold calls. I make calls to people I want to know better.
Mm. Words matter, and your state of mind matters, right?
Oh, yes, it is. If you're getting on the phone knowing that nobody's going to want to talk to you, you'll get nobody to talk to you. If you know that you've got something that 25 people today actually, well, number one, I know the sales training I've got, I know hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people within 20 minutes of me that need what I've got.
Right.
They don't know they need it yet. So some of this is about awareness, and you have to understand, when you're talking to people, most people don't have enough time to talk to you. It's not they don't want to talk to you. So you've got to be able to introduce that. So if I wanted to talk to you about sales training today, if I said my name was Bill Knoche, I'm a sales coach, and I want to talk to you about sales training today, would you hang up on me?
Probably. I'm Bill Knoche. I'm a sales coach. I want to, just the fact I'm Bill. I want to talk about this. This is what I do. What I'm thinking right now, Bill, is what's in it for me? Why did you just break my day up to talk about yourself?
Right. So when I give you the opportunity, when I say, or would you hang up on me? That's the opportunity for them to step back into the conversation, because nobody has ever said that to them before. Nobody making a call has ever said, or would you hang up on me? They all fear it, but they don't say it. Amazing things happen when you get, that's called a straight conversation. There is no bullshitting about.
What happens next? So do you want to role play? It's up to you. Is there a specific industry that we think could benefit from this?
Well, the fact is, I think there's a whole bunch. I don't think there's a company that I've ever run into that couldn't use it. You do need to narrow your focus. I mean, in marketing, they keep telling me, Bill, narrow your market. So I really enjoy working with home improvement contractors, anybody in that business, whether that's somebody in the remodeling business or it's somebody that sells heating or air conditioning. I like working with that. I spent 10 years in the life insurance business. I love working with life insurance guys because, again, they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to sell it. They do know how to sell it. They don't know how to connect with people easily. So they absolutely need referrals to get done, and you don't have to use it. If you can learn how to use the phone powerfully, even in this market. I'm sorry I'm taking so long with this. The phone was very popular until email came along.
Yeah.
Then everybody thought email was the answer. Then they thought social media was the answer. But no matter where we go, we're being blasted. So the phone is now becoming, if you know how to make phone calls, I'm able to start to use the phone again. I mean, I didn't use it for a long time. I just did it at networking meetings. I can't I can't make the amount of difference I want to make in the world of selling if all I do is networking.
Right.
So I've got to get more out there, and we'll have more conversation about that. But
I love it. It's we're blasted with information, social media, the phone, the television, paid ads. At the end of the day, what is sales? It's a human to human conversation. I mean, I can go online and transactionally purchase something. That's a sale as well, I suppose. But if you're making a phone call and you're talking to me, we're having a conversation, right? Isn't that what we want, to have a conversation?
Well, now we don't have a conversation with somebody that's going to bullshit us, which is the reason Amazon has become so popular. People don't do their own research. They just go and friggin' buy it. Now, that may be the wrong printer that they're buying, but they've made up their own mind.
Right.
And I'm always saying, people don't want to be sold, but they're open to suggestions on what they should buy.
Right.
And if you can just ask them, I can't give you any suggestions if I can't ask you some questions. So you sometimes have to make an excuse to ask questions.
Right.
Somebody wants to buy something, you gotta say, okay, give me some help. I want to buy a printer. If you're really taking care of the customer, you say, look, that's not a bad printer. Tell me what you're going to do with it, because there might be something you should actually be using other than that printer. It's not selling them. It's helping them buy the right friggin' printer.
It's helping them buy the right one. Bill, we're going to have to do a part 2. We're obviously going to stay in touch. Maybe we'll do a workshop together. We'll definitely collaborate, stay connected. Tell us one more time for the listeners, how do they keep in touch? How do they continue the conversation?
Fine. You can send an email to Bill at Less Talk Selling. In your subject line, put Bill, do not delete.
Yes.
Because they get so much crap. There's a whole bunch of stuff I don't see. I've got to actually get my emails sorted. So I get it. All my junk goes into one folder because I've got 96,000 emails in my inbox. That's
how I'm going to send you emails. Bill, don't delete. And guys, if you go to lesstalkselling.com.
Yeah, LESS talkselling.com.
Email, phone number, connect on LinkedIn. That'll be there. That'll also be in the show notes as well, guys. Write down a takeaway if you haven't yet, and maybe come to Bill with a takeaway. Show that you did your homework. It sounds like you're happy to continue the conversation.
Yes, and it's not don't delete, it's do not delete.
Got it.
And yes, you're putting that subject line. What you got?
Bill, we'll do it again. Brother, you're like a pal from a whole new family. I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time with me, and we certainly did run over. So thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to Rochester Business Connections. Don't forget to share this, rate, and comment on your favorite platform. You can also email me, ben@balbertmarketing.com. Let's connect soon. Until then, keep thriving, everyone.